When the person that doesn't appreciate you decides to walk away, they are giving you the greatest gift that they could ever offer you: freedom. I remember reading one of the comments to one of my posts, and it read, "I feel empty without her." And to be honest, I don't see that emptiness as a void that can't be filled, but as an empty canvas with endless possibilities for what can be created. We must never be victims of the circumstances we fear, but creators of the circumstances we want. For anyone that says, "I can't live without that person in my life," my question to you is this: do they care about having you in their life? And if they don't care, why would you? If you don't even matter to them, then why should they matter to you? You might say, "Well, you don't understand. They mean the world to me. We had a beautiful past. We had a history together." But then I would have to ask you, do you mean the world to them? Do they value the beautiful past they've shared with you? Are they honoring the history you talk about? I guess what I'm trying to say is, stop letting them off the hook, because that keeps you on it. Be fair to others, but most importantly, be fair to yourself. We keep focusing on blaming ourselves for what we think we might have done, instead of realizing that the other person will always share the responsibility, even if we choose to deny it for them. It's not our right to force others to change their decisions. Resisting their stubbornness will only harden the wall that separates us from them. Changing others is not our job, and changing others has nothing to do with our existence. But if we believe that, then we become a slave to the need of supporting that belief. And that explains why we're trapped. Because we're trying to control something we can't. People. You see, for things to change, we must change. And by living as a demonstration for that change, only then can we start to create it in others. Never be a slave to the need of explaining yourself to someone else. No one is worth doing that for. You are far too valuable to explain yourself to someone that doesn't want to appreciate you. There are thousands and maybe even millions of people who you don't even know about that are waiting to hear a message like the one you're trying to deliver. So why are you focusing on the one person that is choosing not to listen? One thing that makes it easier for them to remember the lines, or makes it easier for them, as far as I remember, to remember the lines, but also to connect with the other actor or actress in front of them, is to ask themselves, how do I want that person to feel? And by saying that before they say the line, they connect with the line on an emotional level, and suddenly the emotions are expressed. And you see, because it's emotional, there's an emotional expression, you see the other actor or other actress emotionally respond, and they feed off of that, and that beautiful dance happens because there's so much emotion there. But it's intentional, it's purposeful. Imagine if you enter any conversation in your life, and in any conversation in your life, you basically, before entering it, you ask yourself, how do I want that person to feel? And whatever the answer is, that's your intention. Is it possible to taste happiness in the presence of scarcity? We need to understand that by living in scarcity, we are living in fear. So I guess the real question would have to be, is it possible to taste happiness in the presence of fear? You see, I believe that in the presence of fear, safety cannot exist. And in the absence of safety, happiness cannot exist. It can't be felt or experienced until the moment we feel safe. That is what gives us the freedom to enjoy and achieve whatever we want. So my question to you is, in your life, who or what is stopping you from feeling safe? Because the reason that stops you from feeling safe is one of the main reasons why you're not happy. Are we comfortable receiving compliments? And if we're not, the question is why? What intrigues me about this is that we crave validation, and yet we internally reject it when it's given. But to answer the question, I believe that the need to resist compliments may come from the fear of being deceived or the belief in our own scarcity. You see, believing that we're not enough or that we don't deserve what we've been offered may stem from a false assumption that is based on an emotional interpretation, or a lie that you were once told about yourself that you decided to believe.
People don't have intention when they start talking, or even after. So I'd recommend two things. Start with an intention, a clear intention, and periodically throughout the conversation, remind yourself of that intention by asking, what was my intention? In your mind, what was my intention? And if you develop the habit of that, your mind realizes how important intention is, and you will eventually have the intention and carry it out throughout any conversation. You'll carry it out. But even if you start off by saying, what's my intention? You're ahead of the game compared to everybody else. But you may still, halfway through the conversation, forget the intention. You get emotional, somebody said something and it kind of bothered you. But if you ask yourself, what's my intention? It brings you back to the true north of the conversation, which is to build rapport. Your intention determines what you get out of the conversation. It determines how you react to the person in front of you. It determines how you feel while talking about what you're talking about, or how you feel about what that person is telling you. So intention is huge. Actually, intention is probably one of the most important things we need to have in life. We know each other. If my intention is to connect with you, to build rapport, what I say is different, the way I say it is different than if my intention was to dominate, was to control. And there was a Insta story when I was in New Jersey on the last day before heading to New York. I thought of that and I shared it, and it resonated with a lot of people. It's just 15 seconds, but I was saying that the world would be a better place if, instead of approaching conversations with the need to control, you approach it with the desire to understand. You can guide it by asking, how do I want other people to feel? If you do it with the intention to help someone else, so this is my creation, what is the purpose of this? It's just because I want to express? Or is it because I want to serve? It's always a higher power to serve. But don't ask for other people's opinion, because a lot of people don't really know what they want until you suddenly give them something they never thought they wanted until you showed it to them.
Witnessing my inability to be consistent in what I wanted to create was a frustrating experience to have. I struggled to find what blocked my progress until the day I looked in the mirror and realized that I was the one standing in my own way. My need for perfection and my fear of letting go of it was the problem. But that still didn't provide me with a solution. And then it hit me. If perfection is my prison, mediocrity is my escape. And as counterintuitive as that sounds, mediocrity was the cure. By embracing mediocrity, I was able to be consistent. And by no longer caring about executing flawlessly, I began executing effectively. Is it possible that it's not the change that we fear, but the unknown that lies beyond it? And here's a question that I'd like you to consider. What if the unknown was nothing more than a misunderstood resource? Everything we've ever learned and everything we've ever achieved was once an unknown. Whatever we can't control, we automatically consider a threat. But when we perceive the unknown as a threat, because we think we can't control it, we instantly make a decision to stop moving towards it. The irony here is that we avoid the unknown to avoid losing control, when in fact, it is the unknown that has the power to grant us the control we seek.